Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business. What up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Hip Hop Now Podcast, a bonus episode. I am your host, Vegas of Hip Hop Now Podcast. And in 2025, we're doing some new things here, right? Now, granted, I've done radio in the past, I've done interviews a million times over, but with this podcast, 9 years in now, I've only done one. And I felt like I needed to do more, but I wanted them to be meaningful interviews. So, no disrespect to anybody who's asked for interviews over the years. It's not I like them and I don't like you. It's more so about this audience, what this podcast is, and really the integrity that we have as a show and the integrity we want to present to you. So, without further ado, bars, uh, right here with me, man, is a dude who I met through the homie Kill, right? On shout out to Apartment 5B podcast. And we've met me and Kill, we've been doing radio and shit. We've met a million rappers. I rap. Like it's not a big deal to us. But then when I went and pressed play and I was in the gym listening to your album, this was a couple years ago, I was like, God damn. Like I'm questioning my pen because I know what it takes to come up with some of the things, the schemes, the wordplay, all that good stuff. So when a fan who knows hip hop or a fellow MC see somebody doing it on a high level, you have to give them respect. So without further ado, straight out of Chicago, IAMGAWD. What's good, bro?
Hey man, I'm good. I can't complain, bro. First and foremost, I appreciate you having me on the platform, and shout out to homie Kill too, because he is the main reason a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, are familiar with I Am God. So yeah, much love.
That's dope, man. So let's get right into it. What part of Chicago are you from? And what's the science behind the name I Am God? Was that your original rap name? How you came up with it? Anything.
So I'm originally from the southwest side of Chicago, Leclerc Court. Shout out the hood. They took the buildings, but they can't take the memories. It's a now defunct housing development in Chicago. They tore it down in, I believe it was 2009. So I'm from 45th and La Crosse and then 44th and Cicero, Yeah, man, southwest side of Chicago, Leclerc Courts. 15 minutes this way, you be on the west side, 15 minutes that way, you on the south side. So literally southwest. The name, I Am God. I went by many names previous to that name. And that name was kind of like, I ain't too much of a believer in coincidence. I feel like most things that happen, they happen for a reason. So at the time when I came back to rap, 2020, when I dropped my first project, I Am God. Shout out to homie Max Julian. He produced that in its entirety. My name was actually T to God. TTHEGAWD. And God always stood for getting ahead without devolving. But when I went to go trademark the name, all you independent artists out there, my fellow independents, get on that business, man. The publishing, the trademarks, the copyrights, all that. Make sure you got all that taken care of. But yeah, I went to go trademark the name, and I stumbled upon another dude named T to God. It was spelled different though. It was TDAGOD. And I forget where he was from. But the trademark attorney was like, she basically advised me, like, I would stay away from that name, even though it's spelled different, you want to avoid any potential future litigation. So just stay away from the name and come with something else. And here I am, I'm just coming back to rap, late 2019, just dropped my first project. And here it is, I'm having to basically rebrand again. And I'm like, damn, like I just came back out. Like, is that going to kill the little bit of momentum that I got? But, I listened to the attorney and, I was already using the hashtag I am God. And that always translated to I am getting ahead without devolving. The GAWD always had that meaning to it. So I'm like, you know what? It's controversial. I stand on it. I believe in it. It's a lifestyle thing for me. It's not just a name, something that sound cool. So I'm like, fuck it. Like, I am God. That's what it is. And I never heard nobody with that name, you know. So she did what she had to do on her end, check the trademarks against it. Nobody really had it. You know, it's a lot of God, you know, in rap in general, GAWD,
Right.
all types of various spellings, God, but nobody had I am God. So I'm like, you know, I think this was meant to be. Like it definitely it speaks volumes, whether you it make you turn an eyebrow up when you first hear it, or whether it just hit you as something powerful. Like I think it, I know that that worked out for the best, and it was supposed to be that. So here we are today. I am God.
I think that's dope because, like you said, you know, when you hear, like, if I go and tell somebody, yo, you should check out this dude. What's his name? I am God. That's already going to evoke, you know, whether you're like, what? That's his name, or interest or whatever.
Right.
And like I said in the beginning, he backs it up. Okay. It ain't just some lame cat who, you know, can kind of rap and blah blah blah. Nah, like um basically press play and you'll understand. But I'm glad you said that because that's kind of one of the things that sticks out to people when, you know, they hear your name, and it's kind of the journey into them, uh, you know, discovering you and who you are and what you represent.
Absolutely.
Um, what was your first experience with hip hop, and what were your origins as far as an MC, right? Because we have our first experience as a fan, whether it's a song or a moment or whatever. But also, what was that moment for you where you decided to start rhyming?
So my first experience with hip hop, I always tell a story. That's the earliest I can remember. It was the video for Tupac, Brenda's Got a Baby.
Mm,
Tupacalypse Now, I believe that's Tupacalypse Now, right? Like
yeah, it is.
91. Like, so yeah, so like 91, I'm like 5 years old. And you know, at the time, my 5 year old mind, I've never heard of first of all, a young girl being sexually abused. That's a foreign concept to me. I don't know what sexual abuse is at 5 years old. Um, the concept of it being a family member who doing the sexual abuse. Then
Mm,
after that, like having the child on the floor and then proceeding to place the child in a dumpster. You know, that was crazy to me. All that was foreign to me. And you know, I consider Pac a lyricist. I know there's debates about that. I personally consider Pac a lyricist. He was just more of a simplistic lyricist in the sense that he didn't feel like he needed to be overly technical to get his point across. So at 5 years old, my brain can compute a good 85 to 90% of what he's saying. And I'm catching
mm,
the sexual abuse. I'm catching, and plus it's a video. So it's giving you a visual to go along with it. So I'm
right.
terrified as a shorty, but it's like I can't look away because it's so intriguing. Like these concepts I never heard of before. So Tupac Brenda's Got a Baby is my first experience with hip hop that I could remember and recall.
Mm,
My origins as an MC star with my big cousin. Shout out to my big cousin Fluid Joe Carter, aka the Fluid, aka Ill Flow. He was actually in a rap group with him and his guys called The Faction. And you
mm,
know, me going out to Indiana to kick it with him for summers, you know, they was hip hop heads. You know what I'm saying? So remember the CD binders, you know what I'm saying? That motherfuckers had in the car laying around the crib. Bro,
yeah.
probably had to have at least, I want to say at least 3, 4 of them, like
Mm,
2, 3 in the crib, 1 or 2 in the car. You know what I'm saying? And his library of music, like CDs, it was just like a kid in a candy store. Like I'm talking about everybody from the Roots to Dice Raw to Busta Rhymes to Biggie to Nas, Bahamadia.
mm,
Um, I mean, NWA, Ice Cube, like the list goes on. You know what I'm saying? Like so much music. You know what I'm saying? So my household was a musical household with my OG. You know, I'm the oldest of three single mother. You know, her thing wasn't rap though. You know, it was all R&B, soul,
right.
gospel on Sundays when it's time to get up and clean up. You know, so she introduced me to music first and foremost. She even taught me my alphabet by notable artists at the time. A is for Al B. Shore, B is for Bobby Brown, C is for Cameo,
Mm,
shit like that. You know, but my cousin, he is the one that really expanded my mind because I was already aware of rap, hip hop, you know what I'm saying, and rappers. But I think going out there to Indiana and spending summers with him, and I was already writing at the time too. I've probably been writing since 10. I didn't start spending summers with him until I was like 13, 14, you know what I'm saying? Maybe
mm,
12, but around 13, 14. So I'm already, I'm in school, so the brain is active. I'm A and B student, you know what I'm saying? So the brain is already active, but now, I grew up on Chicago rap. Those was my first instances of rappers to where I'm like learning the words. So I'm talking about Twister, Crucial Conflict, Do or Die, Psychodrama,
Right.
The Legendary Traxler, Shauna, Tifa, Infamous Syndicate, artists like that. Snipers, Triple Darkness. So, these is
Mm.
my first, but Chicago at that time, we had our own sound. And it's the rapid fire, some people
Right.
call it chopping, twisting, whatever. It's the double time shit, or that bounce. You know what I'm saying? So this is mainly what I'm exposed to, So being over there with my cousin exposed me to all different types of styles. And that's what really sparked my interest in wanting to further and really take being an MC seriously. And it probably clicked to where I wanted to do it for real, probably around like 12, 13, 14, in between those years. So yeah.
That's crazy. So when you were 10, what made you like want to just write the rhymes? Like, you obviously was into hip hop, but what
Right.
made you say, I'm gonna write something? You know what I'm saying?
Man, 10 would have been 96. So just at 10 years old, I would have been 10 in the year 96. So, that's the end of Pac. That's right before the end with Biggie. That's an early Jay-Z. That's a still young but a little seasoned Nas. Twista is out. That's right before he dropped Adrenaline Rush. So probably Pope Pimp, that classic verse he got on Pope Pimp was probably already out with Do or Die. Cube already doing his thing. It's a lot of Dre and Snoop, they already out. Wu already out, solo
Mm.
members been already out. It's a lot going on at that time. So I'm seeing Busta Rhymes. He was a big influence back then. His debut album came out in 96, solo debut album. So it's a lot of I'm soaking in a lot of music, rap mainly, you know what I'm saying, as a 10-year-old. And I don't know half of what they talking about, but I just know that I'm slowly falling in love with this art form, and
Mm.
it just made me want to try my hand at trying to put something together. And of course, that shit was weak. I probably got laughed out the classroom several times trying to recite my little raps at 10 years old. But I didn't start getting nice until like 12. And that's when I started going to kick it with my cousin.
That's dope, man, because 96 is crazy year. Like if you go
Absolutely.
back and look at Pac alone, like a run that year, the way he ran from beginning to
Absolutely.
end of that year was crazy. But there was also like you said, there was a lot of albums. The score was out. Redman's Muddy Waters was out.
Facts.
It was written. Reasonable Doubt. Like it's almost I could see you being inspired by just all of this hip hop, and I think also mainstream wise, it was rising. So it wasn't what it was back in the day where you had to go, at midnight and listen to a certain type of hip hop show to hear the stuff. It was like the videos, the music,
Facts.
it was up front. So that's dope to see. That happened for you in 96. When you said 96, I was like, damn, I was in college. Like I'm old now. I'm old now. All
Just
right.
getting better, brother. Just getting better, man.
Yeah, right. You're right. Um and now correct me if I'm wrong, but at some point you stopped rapping,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
What if you want to share, if you want to be transparent, that's cool also. What was the catalyst to bring you back after you stopped? Like what was it that made you stop? Considering how much you admire this art form and the music and you were doing it, like you said, 14, you felt like, I mean, 12, you felt like you were already nice with it. What made you stop, and then what made you come back?
So initially, what made me stop? I stopped in 2016, and I could feel the frustration coming to a head. My own inabilities to get anywhere I thought was significant, make any significant moves, and just feeling stuck in the mud as far as like trying to obtain some level of success within rap in the music industry. Period. And just the overall state of music. By 2016, like I was just overly disgusted with everything. You know what I'm saying? Because it was so different from what I grew up on, and I feel like I didn't really have. When you young, I don't think nobody nobody that young really understands of cherishing what you have while you have it, because those probably gonna be some of the best years of your life as a child. You so impressionable, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I felt like I didn't really have enough time to even get comfortable with like the 90s and early 2000s music that I love. I'm just coming into my own. This is my own coming of age. I'm just starting to understand what Wu-Tang is talking about. I'm just starting to
Mm,
understand some of these references and things that other dudes is talking about. And it's kind of like I feel like the game switched, and the South took it and ran with it. And no disrespect to them, because I love it's a lot of Southern rap and rap and hip hop that I love that come from the South. So, but at that time, like I was very biased. If it wasn't Chicago or New York, a little West Coast, but mainly if it wasn't Chicago and New York, get it the fuck out of here. I didn't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
eventually I learned to like, mess with the South, and Juvenile is responsible for making me really tap
Mm,
in with Southern hip hop. And then from there, I started liking Jeezy. I couldn't stand Jeezy when he first came out. And that was one of the turning points to where it's like, this nigga not saying shit. Like he basically all ad libs. And like my guys that we was just reciting Biggie lyrics overnight was like Jeezy fans. And I'm like, what the fuck y'all listening to, bro? Like, what did I miss? But like
right.
at that point in time, I was so locked in and narrow minded with tunnel vision for the technicality of the art form. I
Mm,
didn't really honor any lyricists that wasn't like super technical or super lyrical. A few, you know what I'm saying, but not many. So when Jeezy first came out, I was like, I didn't get it. But I definitely, by the time that first album came out, I'm like, oh, okay. So this shit is different. You
right.
don't have to lyrical, spiritual, miracle, everything. Like this shit is different. And I never been to the South at that point. I didn't have that going to somewhere in the South for family get-togethers or shit like that. Like I didn't have
Right.
that, so I'm super unfamiliar with Southern culture at this time. So my own failures, what I perceived to be failures at the time, and the overall state of rap at the time is what led me to quit. What made me come back. I think I probably already had the itch. I was still doing little freestyles or verses to other people beats here and
Mm,
there, but not really making music. But when I saw that Conway freestyle on Show Off Radio with Static Selector when he was calling out all the battle rappers, I'm like, this shit is popular again. Like y'all like this? Like people
mm,
talking about this type of rap again? Because I'm unfamiliar with Griselda at this point, and
mm,
I don't know when he originally did that Show Off Radio freestyle, but I know I didn't see it probably until like 2019, maybe 2018. I think it was 2019 because 2019 is the year I actually made up my mind that I was going to get back into rap, but it was like late 2019. So I think shout out
right.
my bro Dr. Mindbender, my engineer. Shout out GQ for introducing me to him. I think our first time in the studio was sometime in like late November, like right around Thanksgiving 2019. So yeah.
Mm-mm. That's dope. Now, how do you feel now that you've been back with a couple of projects under your belt?
I'm ecstatic because specifically for what my city doing, Chicago. Like I never thought that when I came back that Chicago would look like what it does now. And I ain't saying that I'm new to the crib and I don't know that we always had talent. Like Chicago is historic for many things, music being one of them. But looking at where Chicago at now, like I'm biased, but it's not a biased opinion. I literally, honestly feel like Chicago got the best MCs right now, male or female,
Mm,
hands down. Because I know what I hear and I see. Just Saturday night, you know what I'm saying? I went to two listening parties for some of my bros that I rock with within the rap community in Chicago, Rufus Sims and the bro Andreas Haley. And I'm talking about it's crazy. Like Rufus Sims, he kicked it off with his listening party. Like shout out, bro, him in Ill City. Ill Dirty Rufus coming soon, streaming everywhere. I think it's March 22nd. It'll be on streaming platforms. And then going to Andreas Haley shit. His project is nasty outside. They got CDs available right now, but I don't know if it's on streaming yet. And I'm just
mm,
like, man, bro, like we got some of the rawest motherfuckers out. So I feel great about coming back when I did because it gave me the opportunity to like build a brotherhood, with my brothers in this rap shit. And it's deeper than just, what I'm saying, the music, you know what I'm saying? Like we
right.
actually tap in and rock with each other. So Chicago, we a whole conglomerate right now. It's just that we not on that level yet to where the whole of the underground or whoever is seeing it. You know what I'm saying? We still on
Right.
on the way up.
That's dope, man. Chicago never forgot how to rap.
Absolutely not,
You
bro.
know, that's kind of your thing. That's what you say. That's what you live. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? That's
sir.
what you demonstrate when when I see you on IG or whatever. Um, where did that come from? That because it feels like it fuels you as an MC, but everything else you're doing, like you said, with the homies and stuff like that. So, what's the origins of that? Where did that start?
That come from feeling like the real MCs was being pushed to the side in Chicago, because when drill
Mm,
came out, it just took over. And it's almost like anything before drill kind of was like washed away. Those that know, but I just mean as far as like in a general sense, drill was
right.
so polarizing. It was so different yet familiar. It was so brash and in your face, violent. And Americans, we romanticize the most violent of shit, whether it's
Yep.
Italian gangster shit, whether it's black street organizations, whether it's cartels in Mexico and Colombia, like whatever the case it is. If it's violent, if it got some crime element to it, we gonna romanticize the shit out of it. So it just felt like that. Like I actually had a chip on my shoulder with that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it
Mm,
just felt like, because I'm a little older than, I'm a different generation than the drill generation. So I don't want to
right.
sound like the angry old man, like all these young punks. Like, nah, like Chicago always been a gangster ass city. Like, always had street organizations, gangs, whatever you want to call them, nations, mobs. Like, we always had that. So I'm familiar with that element. I grew up in it. You know what I'm saying? For better or for worse.
Mm,
Even partook in it at certain times when I was a shorty. But it's kind of like that shit was different because we were seeing the death of so many shorties like play out like literally like on TV, and I didn't rock with that shit. Like I don't care how cool it sound, how popular it is. I got a conscience at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
that shit, it's not like me listening to Styles P shoot him in the head as a shorty. I'm not from Yonkers. Now I understand that the crime element is affecting us as black people everywhere, but I'm not from Yonkers. I don't know nobody from Yonkers, so I don't look at that and go, damn, that's fucked up. You talking about shoot him in the head. Like, nah, like I'm rapping that shit word for word. But when it's in my own backyard, it's kind of like, and at that time I'm a grown man, so I could see this shit. And it's like, this shit ain't cool, bro. This shit is all wrong. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt. So the Chicago never forgot how to rap hashtag saying whatever. It came from that, feeling like that, specifically in Chicago and generally in the game too, that what I'm saying, that Chicago MCs like have been pushed to the background, what I'm saying, for the drill shit. Because a lot of dudes, it's only a handful of dudes that really came up off drill. Shout out Keith. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm,
seen a few interviews of his lately. He seemed to have grown up and matured a lot. So I'm happy for him and where he at in life right now. Fortunately, Dirk locked up. Don't know what that's going to end up being. Vaughn got killed. Rest in peace. But it seemed like it was much more harm than good done. Not that many motherfuckers came up out of drill and actually thriving. Shout out Polo G. He one that's still out there doing his thing. But other than that, like I never really fucked with drill, bro. Never really fucked with it.
mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that was the takeaway I got from it the first time you said it, right? Chicago never forgot how to rap. And I agree with it, right? Because I could never, even as a hip hop head, I could never condone records about actually killing somebody, especially black people. You know what I'm saying? Actually killing somebody, and it's just a back and forth, but lives are being lost. It's not
facts.
just a back and forth with records, mothers are losing sons and daughters and stuff like that. It just seemed like a terrible trend. And I feel like what you're representing and the people like you is a healing process of we're not just saying, oh, okay, yeah, don't listen to drill, but we saying hip hop is this. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? And y'all coming together as opposed to being at odds with each other. So I commend you and everybody who does that because I think that's dope. Um,
Gratitude.
no problem. All right. Lastly, tell me the inspiration behind your new album, City of God with Ill City. I know it's a play on words, but I'm pretty sure knowing you is a deeper level to that. So tell the people what's the science behind that album.
So that's just, the insatiable hunger I have as far as just like taking what I believe is mine, claiming my spot. You know what I'm saying? Whether we talking about the city or whether we talking about outside the city and even further beyond. So City of God is kind of
Mhm.
like saying, yeah, the city is mine type shit. But I can't make that claim solely because it's many more, what I'm saying, artists than just me that's putting out incredible work, what I'm saying? So it is a play on words, but you know, it's also, again, God is getting ahead without devolving. So it's trying to flip the narrative on what Chicago is known for. Just like it's a perfect example. Like, how Chicago is called the city of wind. I kind of took
Mhm.
that and I use it as like city of wind, but it's like WIN with the D in parentheses. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So city of wind, but also city of win. Like we winning. We trying to develop a winning culture. You know what I'm saying? Like instead of all this loss, you know what I'm saying, lives is being lost like crazy. Like, and you know, our last few artists that really didn't blew up, they didn't blew up because of drill. Like let's do that for over here
Mhm.
though. You know what I'm saying? Like let's take it back to the essence and a real skill of this shit. You know what I'm saying? The culture of this shit. Like not the cliche culture, like the real culture. You know what I'm saying? And let's come up off that. So yeah, City of God, me trying to stake my claim, city is mine and all that type of shit. But it's also city of, getting ahead without devolving, trying to basically rebrand the city. It's gonna always be gangster. It's gonna always be tough. It's gonna always be in your face and direct. But me and the guys and the fellow sisters out here who put on, because it ain't just the guys. We really trying to, shine a different light on the city.
Mm. That's dope, and I kind of get that from the album, right? Because I've listened to all your work, to be honest, and I could tell when the direction just by listening to your lyrics, right? Like what was the direction for this album versus that album. And with this one, it's like City of God, and I forget the name of the record, but one of the records I was like, oh, he playing his flag like seriously, and I get that whole vibe throughout the album, even with your guest features, which is dope. You know what I'm saying? Because again, I think in today's hip hop, there's a lane now for people to pay attention to lyrics, and I
Yeah,
think a lot of it also, as far as casuals, has to do with this whole battle with Drake and Kendrick, because the heads were breaking down the lyrics, and people who wanted to know what was being said and what that meant was starting to go to the YouTubes and the social medias and hear, people break down what was happening. So it
facts.
kind of rebuilt the appetite for lyrics, you know what I'm
Yep,
saying? And that mattering. So I think it's like right on time with your movement of saying Chicago never forgot how to rap, and this is
big
how we
facts.
rap.
Right.
So I think that's dope, man. Let's get into some fun questions before we end, right? Because
Bet.
as hip hop heads, we can talk about this shit all day. Okay. Uh All time favorite MC for you. Who is that?
Nas.
Nas. Why Nas?
At first, it was Biggie. Biggie was more flashy. He was understandable, more understandable than Nas for me at the time. You got to remember, like I got on my first. I knew who Nas was, but I didn't really get on Nas until I Am, and that's '99.
Mm.
So I had to go backwards. I can remember seeing the video for "It Ain't Hard to Tell" because I remember the army jacket and shit. Um, I remember the Street Dreams remix with R. Kelly and the Did You Ever shit that he featured Nas on. So I remember all
Mhm.
that. That was prior to, but like I said, Biggie was my favorite MC at first. But as I matured and got older, and plus with Biggie's untimely demise, he didn't really get a chance to like really flesh out his discography. Uh but the older I got, the more mature I became, and the more myself I became. Like I just identify with Nas. Like I
Mm.
always compare like him and Jay Z. It's like I use like a high school theory. It's kind of like Jay is like the star athlete of the school. He played varsity for the basketball
Right.
team, varsity on the football team. He walking through the hallways with a Letterman jacket. All the chicks want him, all the dudes want to be like him. He got the fresh clothes, you know what I'm saying? All that. And Nas is kind of like similar but different. He fresh too. He quiet, chicks dig him, dudes want to be like him
Mhm.
too. You know what I'm saying? Because Nas was setting a lot of fashion trends like during his heyday. So I
Yeah.
remember that too. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like the more quiet version, and I feel like I can identify with that more. Like I wasn't really popular like that in grammar school or high school. Like I kind of did what I did, but flew under the radar. So, and just hearing an artist who can intelligently articulate the street side of things as well as the inner conscious side of things. Like, hey, yeah, I'm out here in this environment and just certain shit I'm subjected to and certain things I find myself involved in, but I do have a conscience about this shit. Like I'm not just out here destroying for the sake of destroying. Like, you know, like I have a conscience about this. I'm aware. Like I think about these things. I don't want it to be this way forever for me or my guys, you know, and I always like really, you know, I'm aligned with that. Like that's me to a certain extent, you know. Like I did what I did as a shorty. Like I understand the environments and shit like that, but I also understand what it could be. You know, people say it could
Right.
always be worse. My comeback is it could always be better too. You know, but why do we expect it to be worse? You know what I'm saying? More
Yep.
times than not. So yeah, I say
That's
Nas.
dope. All-time favorite album.
All time favorite album. That's tough. I'm gonna have to go with the crib and say Twister Adrenaline Rush. When I first heard that, bro, like Twister is an anomaly to me because I don't know if a lot of people know, but in '94, before Adrenaline Rush came out, Adrenaline Rush was '97. So in '94, Twister put out a project called Resurrection, and I think Common's Resurrection came out the same year. And it was super slept on, but he rocking the slow flow through the whole thing. There's only one song where he did the double time, and it's called Scat Like That. And he basically kind of low key talking about the origins of like how Chicago rappers started rapping fast. And I guess it developed from scatting. You know how they used to scat and jazz, shibbity doo
Yeah.
all that, you know. So, but he rocking, this is when he was into it with Tretch, you know what I'm saying? Because he did some Tretch on a lot of joints on that project. But if anybody could find it, like I got it on a hard drive somewhere, but if you haven't heard it, I think it's probably on YouTube. It's not on streaming, but go to YouTube and just search for it. Twister, Resurrection, 1994. Slow flow. I'm talking about Twister was probably the best rapper in Chicago back then, you know. But then when he was able to like transform that into the double time and still stay clear, still stay articulate, not just put a bunch of syllables to try to take up space so I could say a lot. Like you could break those lyrics down and like spit them slow, and it's just as raw. Like it's crazy. So yeah, I would have to say Twister. And shout out the Legendary Tracks too, because he produced that in its entirety. But I would definitely have to say Twister Adrenaline Rush.
I think I remember that too. I'm gonna have to look that up because I remember when Twister was rhyming like that, and I was like, damn, he not doing the fast joint no more. Like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Back then,
yeah,
until he returned to it.
yeah.
All right, for you, your catalog. Do
Mhm.
you have a favorite verse of your own or a favorite song?
Man, I can't say I do. I'm not in love with my catalog like that. Like I'm proud of my catalog, but I'm always looking to get better. It's really me versus me type shit, you know. So once I did it, I done it, you know, and it's time to move on to the next. I go back and listen to certain things in my catalog from here and every now and then, but I still feel like even right now, I feel like I can get exceptionally better, you know, even right now. So going back and listening to the older stuff, love to all the producers, all the guys, you know what I'm saying, what we did. I'm not shitting on my own catalog, but it's like at this point in time, like I'm tunnel vision. Like I can't see nothing but what's in front of me. You know, I don't really look back too much. But if I had to just give one something I can remember off the top, um, I'm gonna try to go back. I'll say one of my favorite songs is definitely it's from my second project that I released, the Eternal Reflection. That's produced entirely by the homie Custom Made. That was my first project of two projects that I released in 2021. It's a song on that called Good Die Young. And I got my oldest son on that. At the time, he was like 12, I believe. And I basically wrote a verse for him, and it's a storytelling track. So my verse is depicting a shooter who just like somebody just killed one of his guys, so he want retribution. And the verse that I wrote for my son, he's playing like a shorty, like on a bus stop with his mother, you know, and he talking about in his mind like they finna go grocery shopping and she finna get him little snacks and he finna go home and watch Dragon Ball Z. Good kid, A and B student, and it just so happens like dude you know what I'm saying, who he looking to kill, his op or whatever, is on a bus stop with the lady and her son. He waiting for the bus too.
Mm,
So motherfuckers ride down on him, but he ended up killing the little boy, you know. So that was like special to me to do that. I had second thoughts about doing it with my son, but I'm like, you know, that's just my mind going into somewhere I don't need to go. But that was, I really cherish that song because that's not the first time I put him on a track. I just had him say something on like a song like years and years ago, but that's the first time that, like, you know, you can hear him on a track. And even though I wrote the verse, like, he rapping, and that's kind of like Nas and his pops, the Bridging the Gap joint. You know what I'm saying? That's
right.
my version of that with him. So for the fact it's just a raw ass story. I feel like it was told well. I even had my homegirl Ashandi do some voice acting as like the mother, you know, on the
Mhm.
song. So it's a dope song, and I just got to share that experience, knowing that one of my rawest songs, one of my most hip, I would say that's very hip hop. That storytelling, you know, is
Right.
raw, it's uncut, and it's honest, it's sincere, you know. And the fact that I got to share that moment with one of my sons, my oldest, my firstborn, that mean a lot to me. So I would definitely say that song. It's called Good Die Young.
Good Die Young. I remember that joint. It is hot and it is
Yeah,
impactful and it is interesting, like you said. Uh, you liking it because of the connections to hip hop and the reality and the storytelling. It relates back to you being 5 years old, seeing Tupac, same
hmm,
emotions and feelings you got. Now you were able to create something similar. So
yep,
it's like it's full circle. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
A different story, but the same impact it could have on your son being a part of it, on listeners young and old. So I think that's dope, um, to see that in this conversation come full circle based off of your history and where you
Yeah,
started.
absolutely.
Lastly, what do you want listeners to walk away with when they listen to your music? Because obviously we know like everybody don't know everybody, and there are some people who are going to be introduced to you through this interview or another interview. So when
Absolutely.
people go and press play on your catalog or a song, what do you want them to walk away with regarding I Am God?
That I'm really one of the best to ever do this. Like, that's what I
Mm,
want more than any amount of money, more than any, the awards don't even matter these days. Like, no disrespect to like the Grammys and none of that, but that, for me personally, that era is over with, to where Soul Train Awards and Grammys really mattered. Um, but I just want you to know that real, and I know the cliche real hip hop, but it's a thing. Real hip hop is a thing, and I feel like it needs to be, the light needs to be shined on that as much as possible, because we constantly getting away from what it really means, and I don't like that. I understand
right,
things evolve, but who gave these people the okay to change something to fit what they wanted to fit and mean for today? So I would want listeners to walk away knowing that I'm absolutely one of the best to ever do this. I take pride in that. I believe that wholeheartedly. I don't just say it for no reason. You know, I also want them to know that, you know, real hip hop is still out here. Real MCs, not just rappers. Real MCs still exist. The storytelling still exists. The attention to detail still exists. The raw MCs over raw beats still exists. You know, the attention to detail and taking pride in every line, you know, every bar, no bars off, you know what I'm saying? That still exists. The ability to be able to rap well and craft a immaculate body of work, that still exists, you know. And I understand a lot of people claim they don't see it or hear it, you know, but sign of the times, it's just where we at. Sometimes you got to go digging for gold, you know. So I just
right,
want them to know that, like, Chicago never forgot how to rap. I'm one of the greatest to ever do this, and real hip hop is alive and well, depending on who you listening to.
amen, amen, brother. So
Absolutely.
where can people go to support your music? And where can they follow you on social media?
So social media, I'm really active on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram. Those are two main platforms. And you can follow me at Gawd MC, GAWDEMCEE. I just recently got back active on Facebook. You could shoot me a friend request or whatever. I am God West. Um, what else? What else? On all streaming platforms, I am God, IAMGAWD. Favorite the artist page. Stay tapped in. If you want to support me with anything I'm doing merch wise or physical releases, my Bandcamp. That's No Mediocre, and No Mediocre is spelled a little funny, but you just replace the O's with X's. So it's NXMEDIXCRE.bandcamp.com. No mediocre.bandcamp.com. We got CDs going crazy. Matter of fact, CDs going crazy for the latest project, City of God, not on vinyl as of yet. We may do a vinyl release, but right now we got the compact disc. Still got some vinyls left for some old work. I believe got vinyls for Bloodstained Suede 2. I want to say Murder Castle, the first release, I Am God. I think I still got vinyl for The Eternal Reflection. We sold out of Hell's Angels and Heaven's Demons. And I believe we sold out of Bloodstained Suede 1 as well. So yeah, man. YouTube as well. I Am God. Just search I Am God. IAMGAWD. And yeah, man, we rocking like that.
That's dope, man. That's dope. I appreciate you for taking the time out to talk with me.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, bro.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, I share dope artists, dope content with people who watch this platform, because I feel like, at least for the fan base for this podcast, it's people who truly care about the music and the culture, and the surface hits and two steps. We like it. We like to dance, but
Right. Absolutely.
they care more so about depth and everything you described as far as like your mission as an MC and what you want to get out of it. So this was easy for me to do as a second interview, because I know it would be beneficial to the viewers and the people listening on all platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all that good stuff. Subscribe to the channel right here on YouTube, Hip Hop Now. We on the road to 10,000 subscribers. I know it's a lot.
Good shit.
A
Congrats.
months ago, I was saying 500, and now we at 5K. So support, appreciate it for everybody. Go check out I Am God's latest album, I Am God in El City, City of God. Available everywhere. Go hit that Bandcamp up, you know what I'm saying, and make sure because trust me, you will be satisfied with the music you get. Trust me, I'm not lying. I'm not the cap. Look, I only let a couple people in the house, right? He's the second one in the house. I'm at the door. Ask Kill. I'm at the door all the time. Like, who's that? I don't let nobody in,
right,
because we want to make sure it's beneficial. We're not doing what everybody else does. Absolutely. On social media and content creators. We doing our thing. So subscribe to the channel, and remember, we are not critics, we're fans. Peace.